I think we've got quite a few people coming in already. I'm just going to give her an extra minute and then I'm going to get started just with a quick introduction to SheSharp. And then I will hand over to our specialist speakers here who, they're going to basically educate you on their topics, which are all really interesting. Just give maybe one more minute just to let people start coming in and then we can get going. I'm just going to pull up on the screen so you can see also the agenda. So what we will discuss today, and then we'll hand it over soon. Okay. I think it's been about an extra minute, and just because I'm aware of time, I think we can maybe just kick it off. So, hi everyone, thank you for joining this session. Today, you've got Georgia from SheSharp. I am the Events and Partnership Manager with our team, and I'm basically coordinating this event with our speakers. And on the screen here, I have what our topics are for today. So we have our introduction, which I'll pop up in a second, but we have 4 really interesting talks today from 4 specialists in their areas who are going to basically guide you through their knowledge and share, quick snippets of, what they know. And then at the end, we're just going to have a really quick poll just to kind of get an idea of what your engagement is. In the chat, you will see that we have like a thumbs up, thumbs down. They're kind of a yes or no poll question. So feel free to test that out if you like now. But those will be the sort of polls that we ask. And then maybe just a couple of chat questions where you could just type something into the chat. It'd be really great to hear your thoughts. And that will be it. And then, we'll share the link to the video later once it's all there. And we can get started, really. So just very quickly about SheSharp. We're basically a nonprofit foundation that tries to make it easier for women and non-binary people to enter, stay, and grow in the tech industry. So every year we kind of like to pick one of these enter, stay, and grow topics and focus on that. So just to see if we can support people who are trying to enter the industry, who are trying to stay or trying to grow. So this year we're actually focusing a little bit more on growth. We always cater to all 3, but we are this year have a little bit more of a focus on growth, which is also why we're having this session today, where it really caters to anyone at any point in their career who's just trying to sort of grow in their career. Just a bit about us. We aim to do around 6 to 10 events per year. And we usually do some cash giveaways every year through our scholarship programs that basically people can apply for. It's our New in Tech Scholarship or Grow in Tech Scholarship for the year. And there you can apply if you, for example, want to get some funding on a boot camp or, a new piece of software, you can basically apply and we'll try to support you there. Currently, we have over 1,600. I actually think it's even more now, community members just through Slack, but also through our other platforms. And in the last years or so, we've had about 20 different partners, of which some are with us today. But also we're always looking to sort of gain new partners and expand our scope within the industry. Just a little overview of our team, which is growing, but the current team as it is right now is consistent of Amanda, Gabby, myself, and Christina. We actually have 4 or 5 new joiners that are currently being onboarded, so that's why they're not on the page. But Victory is here with us, so somewhere in the chat, so she'll be supporting us today as well with our chats. And we're all part-time volunteers, so we do this on top of our day-to-day jobs. We try to support as best as we can where we can. And then just a couple more things. If you just want to know a bit more about us, I would say our best place to go to is our website and then head to our Slack channel. That's where you can join our community. We have different channels based on different topics that you can all basically share and interact with. And our public roadmap, this really is a sort of place to go if you want to see what we're currently working on what sort of events we've done in the past. You can really get an idea of what we're doing, whether it's a social event or a program or an event like this. It really depends. And lastly, of course, as anything, just follow us on any platform basically that you would like to. You will find us somewhere. I always think our website's actually the best place to start with, so SheSharp.co. And then there you find the links to everything that you want to join. Some people meet us through Meetup, some people meet us through LinkedIn, through Slack. It depends, whatever's easiest and works best for you. So that's a little bit about us. I don't want to take too much time from the speakers, so I guess I will now hand over to Vanessa. So I will stop sharing. Just bear with me 1 second, and then she can take over.
Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. I hope this works. Share screen. Can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay,
Yes, we can.
perfect. I'm going to start a timer for myself just to keep an eye on the time as well. So, hi, everyone. I'm Vanessa. I'm currently engineering manager for the app team at IKEA. A bit about myself. I'm a self-taught software engineer, and I really love working on focusing on customer problems, so customer-focused problems at scale. So I worked in different industries like IoT, working for greenhouse farms, sports retailers like Adidas, aerospace like KLM, and now I'm working for the blue box stores, IKEA, having a lot of fun there. I also really love engineering communities, both building them and contributing to them. So I'm really happy to be here with SheSharp. I think they're one of the best communities in Amsterdam, but in general, helping to scale up women in tech, entering the workforce, providing opportunities for coaching and mentoring. So thanks for the opportunity to be here. Yeah, let me talk to you about my lightning talk, which I hope is useful for everyone. And that's how to maximize your one-on-ones with your manager. So, oh, am I next? Yeah. So what I want to bring to your attention is that you yourself, you're owning your career and not your manager. And why I say this is what I've observed from both sides of the coin, both as a software engineer and now engineering manager, is that the best way for you to progress in your career is if you communicate what you need, showcase your work, but most of all, advocate for yourself. So I think you should put yourself in the driver's seat to understand what are the next steps in your career, make that happen, whether it's software engineer, whether it's tech lead, manager, whatever it is that you want to do next. And the reason for that is you never know what kind of manager you're going to have. Maybe they're fantastic. Maybe they're super supportive, super visible in helping you in your career. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're disorganized. Or maybe they're absent and you never hear from them at all. But no matter what kind of manager you have, you can always make their lives easier and improve your manager relationship by proactively anticipating these questions. So, what I think about from my manager's perspective is they're probably wondering, is Vanessa doing her job? Is she delivering? Is she doing a good job? Do I have to worry about what she's working on? And so what I try to do is proactively alleviate these kind of concerns that my manager might have. Um, and what's one of the most impactful ways that you can do this? I think that's during your one-on-ones. So what is a one-on-one? It's a regularly scheduled meeting with just you and your manager. And what can happen in a one-on-one is any of these kind of bullet points. So status updates, sharing struggles, feedback, wins, approaching a problem, doing a deep dive, career goals, a mix of any of these. Well, I think what usually happens is just a status update. So, hi, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm being blocked. This is what I want to do next. Um, what I think is really important and really kind of easy for you to do to take charge of your career is to supercharge your one-on-ones to make them more impactful for you and for your manager. So here are a few ways that you can do that. Make sure, first of all, that you have them. Make sure they're regularly scheduled in your calendar. If not, call out your manager. Say, hey, where's our one-on-ones? I'd like to have them regularly scheduled. I like to prepare for them. Once you have them, give your manager feedback. Are they going well? Are they not going well? What's working? What's not working? What would you like to see improved in your meetings with your manager and in the one-on-ones? Ask questions about their work, about your team, about your project. What would they like to see change? What would they like to see differently? What would they like to see happen in the next year? And make sure you share your own goals and aspirations because your manager is not a mind reader. And it's really important for you to let them know what it is that you want to happen in your career. And how they, if they're a good manager, will will help you understand how that can happen. Um, so these are all things that I try to do in my direct reports, or not in our one-on-ones, but also with my own manager. Um, and what's like an easy kind of template where you can have this happen? This is what I use for myself. Uh, it's a live document, which means that at any time I can edit it, my manager can edit it, or my direct reports. And it's a really simple template, and it shares wins. So what I've accomplished, what I've worked on in the last week or 2 weeks, topics that I think are important that we address. Sorry, I think someone is. Okay, sorry. And then career development. What are my goals? How am I progressing towards them? What I should be doing next? Um, and anyone can access this, make comments, make updates. And what this is also a useful reference for is a track record of what you worked on, what you accomplished, your achievements. And you can use this when it comes to promotion time. You can use it for those horrible, performance review times. You can just copy and paste the things that you worked on from this document. Um, and in my experience, it does really help with the promotion process in general. Um, and so, why do you want to do this? It's because maybe this is a controversial opinion, but I think that your relationship with your manager is the most important for your career. And it's important to get it right because once you have that solid relationship with them, it opens you up to more opportunities to support your growth. It gives you a really strong advocate when promotion time comes. And also, you have a sense of psychological safety that you can open up, that you can share things, that they know your concerns and they understand you better. And I just want to close with this again. You are owning your career, not your manager. Be in the driver's seat to drive what you want to do next in your career. So that's my lightning talk. We can
Great.
have some time for questions, I think.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to write in the chats, or does anyone think that they would benefit from the sort of like this information with their manager directly? Yeah. Oh, great. It's good to see some thumbs up here. Nice.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
claps.
It's always good for the claps, right? Yeah, I personally think I would definitely benefit from this. I feel like I have a good relationship with my manager, but our meetings aren't very structured. So actually putting this sort of, what have I done in the last 3 weeks? What in the last week? What have I, struggling with actually as like a framework is actually really beneficial. And I'm definitely going to start doing that.
It helps me a lot, especially because I don't remember anything. So I can keep all my notes in one place. It helps me a lot.
Great.
I'll stop sharing.
Cool. Okay. Then I think our next one is, unless there's any more questions from anyone here or anyone in the chat, I'm just going to have a quick look. No? Okay. Then in which case, I think we've got Mariam next. Do you want to try sharing again and then I can do it for you if worst case?
No, it's fine. Just do it.
Okay. We had some technical issues in the attempt for a rehearsal. Let's get the one up to you. Okay, I think the screen is there. I'll mute myself, but just let me know when you want me to go to the next one.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here and nice to meet you all. So sorry about that. So today I'll be talking on the importance of keeping up with the industry trends and its benefits. So can you go to the next slide, please? I think yeah, I think I'm just going to off my camera. My network is a bit lagging. All right. About me, yeah, my name is Mariam. I'm a software engineer at Turing. I have over 4 years of experience. I've had the opportunity to work across various industries, such as fintech, health tech, govtech, commerce, and AI. And in addition to my professional work, I'm passionate about giving back to the community by mentoring and also guiding others through their learning journeys. So, please next slide. All right. So, why is it important to keep up with the industry trends? First of all, it is essential for your personal growth. Staying updated, it enhances your skills, open up new job opportunities, and ensures that you remain relevant in your field. So, on an organization level, be aware of your trends, drive innovation, improves competitiveness, and also aids in making informed decision. In this current economy, it is better to stay updated, and I would say it's even more. It's not just beneficial; it is very necessary. And next slide, please. So for sources to follow, to keep up with industry trends, yeah, it's important to follow some reliable sources. And some of the top publications and blogs include TechCrunch, Wired, Forum, which is also Dev.to, Medium, and also the GitHub blog. And you can also use social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, which are also great for following thought leaders who share valuable insights. Additionally, you can use podcasts and webinars. They're also excellent for staying informed on the go and making it a habit to regularly engage with these sources will really, really benefit you. It's like so for another way to keeping up with the trends is networking and communities. This is very important. Joining professional groups and associations like SheSharp to connect with peers and mentors is beneficial. Also, attending conferences and meetups like reInvent, AWS reInvent, learn from industry experts and also expand your network. We also have online forums and discussion groups such as Stack Overflow, Reddit, and GitHub Gist. They are also invaluable for sharing knowledge and also staying current with the trends. And the next one, which is continuous learning. Yeah, this is very important too. So, uh yeah, like I said, this is very crucial. So you have to you can enroll in online courses and certifications on platforms like Coursera, Udacity, and Udemy. And it's also better to participate in workshops and bootcamp. That's if you need it for hands-on experience. And it's also valuable to contribute to open source projects, which not only helps you learn, but it also gives back to the community. Working on side projects also allow you to apply new knowledge and also experiment with new technologies to stay ahead of the curve. And yeah, so I think those are just the three major points. And in conclusion, the next slide, please. I'll just give a recap of what I've said so far. So I said it's better to keep up with trends, which is very important for staying relevant. And also, by following reliable sources and engaging in networking and also committing to continuous learning, you can stay updated and ahead of the curve. And I encourage you to start implementing these strategies to enhance your career and also drive innovation in your various organizations. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you. Next slide.
Great, thank you very much. Oh, I think I can hear my. Oh, can I? I think we're good. Okay. So actually, I think there's a question in the chat from Micah. There are so many things going on. How do I choose what to focus on? I think that's a quite a good question. I think just generally in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to determine what to focus on, I would advise that you should. It depends on what you want, actually. It depends on what you want. Maybe you want to transition into another another practice. For example, if you are currently a software engineer and you want to transition into a data engineering, you have to attend conferences, which is very important to meet with people already in the field. I know you also have to enroll in maybe a boot camp or just what's it called, open source project to enhance your skills. So it depends on what you're currently aiming.
Are there any more questions from anyone in the chat? Has anyone in the chat got other resources, like actual websites or anything that they have found beneficial to support them here? Karen asks, which podcast do you recommend to listen to?
Oh, well, I don't have favorites, but there are a lot of podcasts on YouTube. That's why I get my podcast, and yeah, I don't really have favorites.
But we can definitely have a look as well and also share some as well through Slack and stuff, because I think generally just asking that question to our Slack community, people will probably just give like 100. So yeah, we can definitely put that in there and see what everyone else is saying, especially because they also come from different areas of the industry. It could also be useful, you know, if you're going into product management or engineering, and you might get some different ones. So we can definitely ask that. Okay. Oh, we got some people putting in some things here as well. So Carla, the D2 Collective, also puts out good networking events for the tech space, which is great. Vanessa wrote that Pragmatic Engineer is a handy newsletter. So here are just some. I think everyone try and screenshot or copy and paste them into your search tool. And then Patricia has a question. What sources do you recommend for people pivoting into tech?
So for people that want to pivot into tech, beginners, I would advise them from my own experience to join a bootcamp. A bootcamp with positive reviews. You can check on Reddit or other social medias. Because I joined tech through a bootcamp, so I recommend it bootcamp because you see peers that you can learn and grow together. And also, yeah, like I said, I will also advise to attend summits and also contribute to open source. It really helps.
Great. Are there any more questions from anyone in the audience, very specifically on this lightning talk? As I said, I will also create a chat or something in Slack within our community to specifically ask some of these questions, because I think that's also really valuable. Just, you know, tangible resources are always really helpful. I know it's quite hard when you Google and you see everything. Yeah, where to narrow down and to start. So all these, you know, skills that Mariam's also spoken about is, you know, really helpful to sort of, you know, narrow things down a little bit and then dive in deeper there before you start spreading your wings and going everywhere. Yeah, great. Just I'll put it out one more time. Any last minute questions before we move on to the next one by Dina? No? Okay. Then in which case, Dina, I'll hand it over to you. You didn't have any issues sharing your screen, so off you go.
Yeah. Let me try sharing. Can you see my screen? Perfect. So hi everybody. Thanks for having me here, Georgia, and the SheSharp team. I'm Dina. I'm a career coach based in London, currently in Jordan, where I'm from. I believe that work and our careers really impact our health and our overall well-being. So I decided to focus on coaching people so that they can become happier and healthier at work. My background is in product management, working on medical products and mental health products. Combining coaching and product management, I ended up in culture consulting, working with startups to help improve their workplace culture so that people can have healthier work environments. So part of this culture consulting and this work around making our startup environments healthier is having a feedback rich culture. So this brings us to the topic of today is how do you um, give and receive, and also ask for feedback in the best way possible. So today we'll go through what is feedback and tips and tricks for each one of these. Um, so let's start with a quick exercise. I won't spend more than a minute, so you might not have time to think about all of it, but just for context. So feedback is around increasing self-awareness. So according to this Johari window model for increasing self-awareness, think about something that you know about yourself and others know about you. And now think about something that you know about yourself and others don't know about you. And then think about something that others know about you, but you don't know about yourself. So it's three things. And with feedback, you kind of focus on this blind spot area where know
Oh,
about yourself, but you would like to know. I'll give like a few seconds to think about this. You'll have the slides, so I'll let you kind of think about it later as well. So what the point is that feedback plays around this area of blind spots, and how like it increases our self-awareness to enhance our self-discovery, to continue improving ourselves and how we show up for other people within teams and even in our relationships. But the basis of all feedback is the relationship you have with the other person. So it's really important to cultivate it. It's you make people feel seen, you make people feel heard, and then you make people feel that you have time for them, and then you're not rushed and you're there for them. So the feedback comes from a source of caring versus a source of just telling. And that's kind of the basis of good feedback is the relationship. And without psychological safety and good relationships, having feedback deliver if the relationship base is not very strong. And it goes back to Vanessa's talk. That's why you really, for example, in manager relationships, like it's really core to have that relationship so that you can share feedback with each other. Good feedback is usually a balance of appreciation of effort. Wrong is when it feels like an immediate criticism. Somebody does something and feels immediately criticized or told or blamed, like you arrived late to the meeting, you. If you anything you take away from this talk is generally trying to avoid starting a sentence with you, um as any if you want to deliver feedback. Sometimes it works, but in general it's mostly doesn't work to start with the you. And then sometimes it feels like a random act of judgment, so we want to avoid feedback feeling this way. So I'll be going through giving feedback as the first item. So people usually say feedback is a gift, and I like Ed Batista. He's a lecturer at Stanford Business School about like relationships, and he's also a coach. And he says feedback is not a gift; feedback is data. And I like it because feedback is not as beautiful as a gift sometimes, and it's also tough to receive. And also sometimes data feedback is not the fully source of truth. Some feedback you decide to let go of, and you hear it, but it doesn't need to be like the full source of truth. So it's just data, and ideally you have relationships with multiple people so you can formulate and increase your self-awareness based on different sources of feedback. So I how do you give good feedback? I like this model. I basically in mindfulness, if you want to change like a negative thought pattern that comes up, there's this um I don't know framework called spot, stop, and swap. And the idea is to spot the thought, stop it, and then swap it with a more positive thought. And then I decided to use that as a framework for feedback. So spot. So the first step is to spot what you want to give feedback around, and using this idea like the framework of an experience cube, which is what you want to base feedback based on facts, and usually facts is based on your experience. So it's around things that I see, like these are observations I see, I hear. And then it could be thoughts, thoughts were based on what I see or I hear, I think. And then it could be based on what I see, I feel hurt, I feel angry, I feel sad. And then based on the situation, I need you to XYZ. And when you kind of bring it to yourself, it becomes a bit harder to negotiate negotiate with, and the other side could kind of empathize with what you're bringing to the table, especially when you come from like, I care about this and that's why I'm sharing what I feel or what I need. So when you spot that item that you want to give feedback on or have a discussion about, the next step is to stop. So before sharing immediately, start with pausing and asking yourself, like, why? Why am I giving this feedback? Is it because I'm a manager and I have this sense of control? I want everything to go my way. I want things to be perfect and it's hard to let go. You should ask yourself, like, what's the cost benefit of sharing this feedback? And um, just really questioning like the rationale why you want to share this. And then check in with yourself, like, am I in the right space to share feedback? Am I really aroused, like, at the moment? Should I calm down a bit? How's our relationship like? Would it be better if it comes from somebody else, a peer? How so just question like like think about the relationship, and are they also ready? Think about the person you're delivering the feedback to. Are they ready to receive it now? Should we do it in a one-on-one? That's probably a better um, way to share that type of feedback. So, and even if you kind of schedule some time to talk with you're an engineer and you want to talk to the designer, you schedule some time, and then even as you start the call, it's always good to be like, hey, like, I know we scheduled this call to discuss like how we're working together. Is this still a good time? Because you never know, like maybe that morning something, they have a headache or something came up that maybe actually, yes, we had it in the calendar, but still it's not the good. So it's always really good to check in. Um, Again, it's never to see like whether it's a good time to talk. And some people think delivering negative feedback is like a harder one, but it's also positive feedback. Some people also find it hard to receive positive feedback. So it's really important to make sure you're on the same page for the type of conversation you're going to have. Um, and then with swap, here think about it as the actual exchange moment of feedback. So here are the tips. So when should you do it? Ideally, it's like closely after the event or something that you're talking about. So don't leave a lot of time for your emotions to build up, for more things to happen, so that ultimately like it's a bigger conversation. And if you do schedule a meeting to discuss, create space for sufficient dialogue. Don't have something scheduled right after and then feel like, oh, I need to go, sorry. And then you end it in like a rushed way. So it's really important to give it time. Obviously here, like I'm, because it's a lightning talk, it's, there's many different types of feedback, but I'm kind of, yeah, there are other obviously tips, and where ideally face to face and on a video call, you want it to be like intimate and like you can have a conversation. But you also, if you're in an office, sometimes there are like signals of hierarchy, so or also no privacy. So you need to want to, if you're the manager and like you have your own office, it's less common in tech now, but you don't want to have it in your office. Maybe go for a walk. It's like more scientifically proven that it's a nicer way to have conversations in terms of safety, and it's the flow of the conversation. And then yeah, to consider the privacy element. So there's a lot of open office spaces. You don't want people to be passing and then they can see like, oh, Dina's having a conversation with X and it's not going, it's a bit tense. So you want to make sure that you consider different aspects of that. So like in the conversation itself, it's always important to again confirm readiness to receive the feedback, show that you care and that you also believe in them, and why you're sharing this. I care, like I'm sharing this because I care about you and I believe that X, like you delivered a presentation and it was great and I think it could be better in XYZ, and then share your like based on the experience cube that I just shared, use that to share the feedback. And then if you have a request, make it clear and concrete, and then allow room for questions and conversations. So that's basically on the conversation about giving feedback. Brings me to the receiving bit. So this quote by the Sheila Heen, who talks about feedback giving and receiving, she says like ultimately the person giving the feedback will never get it fully right, because emotions, everything, it's really complex. So as a person receiving the feedback, think that it could be 90% wrong, but there's this 10% that I might get something out of this that has a source of element of truth that I could take away with, and it could push me further. So what sorry so like the recommendations for receiving feedback is, don't try to nitpick as much as it's hard. Try to think like, oh, this person is coming from a place that they care. They're gonna get it wrong. They will say you, and it's gonna be so frustrating. Pause and then say like, thank you for the feedback, and then you can say like, what I heard you say is XYZ. Ask questions, be curious, and then if you feel that you're feeling agitated, you could thank them again and say like, follow up later, or and come back to them when you have really like processed the feedback. So you want to make it easy for people to come and talk to you, because the more that happens, the more like the tougher conversations you have, then the psychological safety increase. It's just like it has positive knock-on effects. And like in terms of like for to make giving and receiving feedback even easier, I think it's important to say like asking for feedback is also an option. So asking for feedback, it could be any time really. Like the sooner you ask for feedback, the better. And where could also depend on the situation. So for example, I just give this talk, I could message like Georgia afterwards, how did it go, what went well, what. So you could try to use moments of interactions to continue to build on them. It could be a poll, for example, Georgia in this meeting will like is asking questions towards the end, how did it go, like get like ranking, like get like just do a poll around it. So it could be informal, it could be formal, and the more we ask for feedback, the more we normalize it, the better functioning teams we have, the better our relationships go. And this way you can kind of iterate and experiment with ways of doing and continue to improve. And then our self-awareness improves and just makes the world a better place generally. But psychological safety is the basis of constructive feedback. So fostering the relationship, giving people attention, really like listening and being curious is the most important thing. So thank you all. And yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on my email. Thank you, everybody. And
Amazing.
feel free if you have any questions.
Yeah, exactly. No, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all that knowledge with us. Like I saw lots of thumbs up and claps everywhere. So either people are agreeing or they're learning something new, which is great. Cool. I'm gonna open up the floor. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone does anyone think that this would be beneficial for them through their work life, even maybe their personal life? I was sitting here thinking about certain personal situations that I could definitely benefit from this. But yeah, how do people generally feel? Is this something that they could apply to their day-to-day lives, or start to anyway?
Yeah, can I speak?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I found out, for example, what she said about stop and swap. That is very important because, I remember like 3 months ago or somehow I spot something, and directly I sent an email or something like, yeah, this should not be happening stuff. I didn't have the time to pause and just to plan what should I do, what's the next step. That's really good advice. And one question related to this one is we should really accept what the manager said because it's sometimes what they give you is not right. So you should confront them directly or just to give them time and to process in another feedback, or how should we handle this kind of things, because you did something on some stuff but you don't get valued or you don't get appreciated for that thing. You need some kind of how can you handle these kind of things? And thank you for your clarification.
Of course. I think what you said, it's like, for example, you could get feedback and you get like, oh, I didn't do this. You get like the negative bits. And I think proper feedback is you get coached on the skill. So they could tell you this is not like this could be improved in this way. But also the ideal feedback is to also get the appreciation bit is like, so like feedback is appreciation, coaching, and then also like development. So if you don't get it from your manager, you could give them feedback as well. You could say, if you, I would follow Vanessa's advice, do have regular meetings with the manager, make it like in the second section of your meeting where Vanessa was saying like things that you're stuck on. You could say like, I'm somebody who when I work, I feel like I need some sort of, which is in your observations, like I need some sort of validation to understand that things are going well or not going well. So this is when you say like it comes from a source of need, then I think there's more understanding, because you wouldn't say like, you're not giving me feedback, you're not giving me appreciation, but you can say like, I feel I as a person need this sort of validation every time we finish a sprint. We can do a retro to see like what went well and didn't. So you can be creative around and maybe try to do your request like you are coming with a solution as well, like with a retro, or make it easier for them to also give you the appreciation.
Great. I think that's some solid advice. I think everyone knows how difficult it can sometimes be to speak to your managers, especially when they haven't necessarily had the training or, coaching in this sort of area. I think we've all had those people. I think just kind of slowly iterating, I guess, the same message in a different way might help get to that point. So yeah, that's really valuable. Okay, just because of time, I think if there is any more questions, please write them in the chat and we can see if we can get to them at the end. But I don't want to take away from Carla's time either. So Carla, did you want to share yourself, or I've also got your deck open if you want me just to pull it up?
I can try to share. Let's
see how it goes.
It looks like I can share a window. Just hold on. Open it as a separate window. Sorry.
No worries. So no, it's fine. We didn't have time to prepare, so it was fine to test it, see if it works. But that's also fine. I have it already if you need it, so don't worry.
Yeah, maybe we should just do it on yours because I'm fiddling around with Canva.
No problem. And that's fine. Just tell me which one am I on? Yeah, tell me when I need to switch. I'm just going to mute myself. I think you should be able to see now. Correct?
Yeah, great. Thanks again, Georgia and the SheSharp team for inviting me to give this lightning talk around imposter syndrome. And we can go on to the next slide. So just a quick introduction to myself. And before this little, would love some interaction from the audience, from the folks who are attending. But just a quick intro to me. I have my background is in customer success. So I've worked for 14 years with B2B SaaS startups and scale-ups. But recently transitioned to a coaching career. And my mission is to help folks lead happy, healthy, and high-performing lives. And so that's a bit about me. But yeah, sorry. Now we can go on to the next slide. So if folks want, if this is not the first time you've heard of imposter syndrome, would love to hear kind of what you think it is. If you've heard about it, just kind of pop it in the chat. Like, how would you define imposter syndrome? So we'll give a 30 seconds. Anyone has any idea, or if this is something completely new too, that's fine. Any chat? Okay. All right, I'll just go ahead and move on to the next slide and give you, thinking that you have never, there you go. You also know what they're doing and I don't. That's it. You guys got it. And maybe that's a little bit of the imposter syndrome sneaking in, preventing you from putting in what you thought is in the chat. But yeah, so imposter syndrome is this psychological experience that you're feeling like a fake or a phony despite any success or any experience that you already have. There's especially high prevalence of this, especially among women in tech. So when, Georgia asked what kind of topic to talk about for the SheSharp community, this seemed like a really relevant topic because there is absolutely a high incidence of the imposter syndrome for women in tech. But it is also much more common than you think. I think we've seen percentages between 62 to 70% of people have experienced imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. So let's switch to the next one. And this is from a book by, her name is Dr. Valerie Young, and she's an expert in the topic, and basically categorizes imposter syndrome into these kind of 5 buckets. I know the font's a little bit small, but it's the perfectionist, the expert, the soloist, the natural genius, and the superhuman. And the little kind of archetypes are fairly kind of self-explanatory. The perfectionist, wanting everything to be perfect. The expert, kind of wanting to like make sure that they know everything. Soloist, wanting to do things on your own, because if you don't do it kind of in your own way, then really having difficulty relying on others to kind of do the work. Natural genius is when you're so used to having things go, you're able to do things quickly and pick things up very fast, and are always like get a lot of success doing it, that when you do take a little bit slower or fail at doing something, you're especially hard on yourself. And the superhuman is one that is just multitasking, does everything. And if you fall short doing one thing of the many things that you're juggling, then that feels kind of, a failure. So these are all kind of different manifestations of the imposter syndrome. We can go on to the next slide. So I guess like quick poll, you can just kind of raise your hand with the emoji, because I don't think there's a polling function here. Like, have you experienced imposter syndrome in the last 6 months? If you feel like sharing. Yeah. Seeing a lot of the emoji, thumbs up. Yeah, super, super common. And I think kind of part of dealing with imposter syndrome is to really recognize it and normalize it, because it is something that happens to a lot of folks. We can go on to the next slide, Georgia. And so what causes imposter syndrome? I'll be talking a lot about kind of some more kind of internal causes here, but really there's some structural things as well. But, such as societal pressures and stereotypes, comparison with peers, and, these all get kind of exacerbated by the presence of social media, whether it's LinkedIn or any social media, that this just becomes more high-end. High expectations and perfectionism, and again, some of those structural issues around lack of representation and mentorship. So kind of thinking about when you look at, in your organization, kind of who is in the leadership positions, and knowing that they are able to do, and looking for folks who kind of look like you or have kind of the same kind of experience as you, that can also kind of cause imposter syndromes. And that's what some of the structural things that I mentioned can cause it. So if we can go to the next slide. And this is just kind of another visual of how what imposter syndrome might feel like. And the perception is that kind of what is this like little box, and there is a sense that what you think others know is much bigger, and it's just much greater than what you know. When reality, it's actually more like, what is actually a little bit bigger, and then what others know, it's different folks know about maybe the same amount as you, and there's a little bit of overlap, but altogether it may kind of create that sense that there is a lot more knowledge that others know than you do, but it's actually a lot of individual knowledge that combine, and that can kind of create kind of that perception that there's just this big unknown that the things that other folks know is much bigger than what you know. Okay. And I had mentioned kind of the role of systemic bias and how that contributes to this feeling of imposter syndrome and inadequacy. And so any kind of individual work that you do, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this lightning talk, and I'm mindful of the time. But I just want to say that, certain things like, I think there's a statistic around that during performance, someone mentioned performance evaluation, men receive during their performance evaluation feedback around hard data and skills, whereas women receive it around their personalities. And so things like a training around that is part of these structural things that really kind of exacerbate systemic bias, then contribute to imposter syndrome. Going on. And so what's the impact? And it is kind of this trickle down effect that cascades into some significant impacts on your career. So having imposter syndrome might lead you to avoid challenges and opportunities. You might then start kind of working harder to prove yourself, leading to burnout, or you're reluctant to share ideas and achievements. So a couple of stats here: 38% of women in tech feel their company supports their growth versus 45% of men. 56% of women leave tech roles. That's double the rate of men. And women experience burnout at 1.5 times higher than their male counterparts. So definitely not the only cause, but certainly kind of contributes to it. So I will kind of end with this, some do's and don'ts, and really kind of the focus here is more around kind of creating awareness of what imposter syndrome is, how it shows up, what causes it. So some of the do's is really kind of acknowledge your feelings and name the problem. So having an awareness of it, normalize it, know that it's very common. Seek and build a support network. This is, it's great that you have joined a SheSharp lightning talk, but really kind of expand that network. So you're not just relying on one data point. Like someone mentioned that there are just some managers that are great, but there's some that are not. And if your only data point is coming from that maybe not so good manager, seek out mentors either within or outside of the organization. And one thing that you can do for yourself is celebrate your success. So really kind of celebrate any kind of success that you have. Maybe it's a monthly tracker, a weekly tracker even, but celebrate that success. And quickly did some of the don'ts. Ruminate on the negative thoughts and dwell on mistakes. It's easier said than done. But one thing that you can do is if you do start ruminating on some of those negative thoughts, are they facts or are they stories? And so if you can kind of start to delineate between the two of them and know which one is facts versus stories, then you can kind of really tell when is this imposter syndrome and when are you being objective. And then don't compare yourself unfavorably to others. I think that's it. I know I'm a bit out of time. And then the last is just, thank you again. And then a quick plug that in September, we are doing an I Am Remarkable workshop around celebrating your successes and being more comfortable around self-promotion with the SheSharp. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. Also, regarding the I Am Remarkable workshop, the meetup link has just been set up. So if you're on Slack, you'll be able to join there and sign up. Yes, thank you so much for such an interesting topic. I think I learned a lot there because I think I fall into a few of those categories actually, in terms of what sort of version I am of imposter syndrome. But we do have some time. So does anyone have any quick questions? We do have a little poll at the end, but I'm happy to stay on for an extra couple of minutes for that. But if there are any questions from the audience right now based on this topic. No? Okay, then. Well, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat. And thank you, everyone, for your quick lightning talks. I found every single one extremely valuable. I think, I can really have some small takeaways from each one to sort of facilitate and support my career as well. So thank you so much for that. Just before we wrap up, I would love to just maybe get some quick questions from you. So we're just going to do some polls in the chat. So I'm just going to also type in the chat so we know which number we're at, because I'm trying to multitask here now. So just for question 1, the question is, did you find the topics valuable? If you liked it, just do a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, just do a thumbs down. Or if you've had specific feedback, please write it in the chat as well. That's absolutely fine. Great. So I think majority here are enjoying it. That's good to note. Really great. Okay, cool. That's really nice to see that I think majority of people really found all the talks valuable. So thank you so much for sharing. Before I move on to the next one, I'm just going to put question 2 so we just keep track of it. The next question is, did you actually enjoy the format? So, you know, the structure of these sort of quick lightning talks, was it too fast, too slow? I don't know. What did you think of it? If you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, thumbs down. Specifically, if you didn't like it, maybe a little bit of feedback as to why. Always, you know, following Dina's lightning talk is always great to hear some feedback. Great. That's really nice to hear that most people enjoy the format as well. Where am I now? Okay. And then just again, question 3. Would you like to attend a similar session to this? Is this something that you find valuable if we did this on a more regular basis with different topics? Oh, good. Nice to see that people enjoy this sort of session. I'm assuming it's because of the speed and the time is too short, though. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It could also be sort of that we do like a taster flavor, I guess, like with lightning talks, and then we can expand on the topics in more, you know, specific sessions. That could also be an option. We also have kind of spin-off ones of this. We've also done a feedback workshop specifically with Dina before. Obviously, we have the I Am Remarkable workshop with Carla. So we kind of have these events that are spin-offs of their topics as well. So as I said, check our Slack and our socials because we do post about these things if you really want to like dive in specifically on a topic. But yeah, that's a valuable feedback. Okay, then the last one, question 4, is more of a right in the chat one. But based on the last question, if you didn't like it, if you have any other topics that you would like to know more about, or just generally if you just have anything that is of interest to you, like feel free to write it in the chat. You know, we can then maybe bring it into consideration for the next session. Okay. Oops, sorry, I'll just go back, make sure. Okay, well, maybe we can also do like a Q&A or a poll in our Slack channel as well, just specifically on topics to see what you guys would be interested to know more about. And then lastly, just what were your key take? Oh, wait, here we go. Networking, work and stress management, maybe. Yep, these are all great topics. Yep. In networking, do you mean more like just how to network, or like specifically like you should go to these places to network, or just is it more of a strategy in terms of how you would like to approach networking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. What I ask is specifically, once you get to know the person, how do you go from there? Because I think that when I go to the conferences, you see a lot of people that are very open with conversation, right?
Mhm.
But I'm also looking for connections, friendships,
Yeah.
people that, especially if you have interests in common in the industry. And yeah, that is a little bit challenge for me because I don't see well, I don't want to. I am a designer. I come from the design where we were more competitive with each other, right?
Yeah.
So I still have this trauma, kind of trauma, regarding that. So it would be nice to learn more about how to strengthen those connections once we start from we once you get to know someone in the IT, for instance, in your group in SheSharp, for instance.
Mhm.
How do we get from there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's an interesting topic, and we'll definitely bring that in. I try not to answer the question now, but because we haven't got time. But yeah, it's definitely something we can bring into another session. I think networking is such a big and valuable part of anyone's career, and I think also just your life generally, like how you meet your friends. So definitely an interesting topic for us to talk about another time. Okay, and then just last one before we wrap up. If you just have any last key takeaways, feel free to write them in the chat as I just kind of thank everyone. Just anything that you thought was good or bad, or anything that we would be aware of, just to sort of help improve. Just feel free to write in the chat. As I mentioned, this is being recorded. I accidentally paused and then had to restart the recording again. But either way, all of it is recorded. We'll get that sort of configured and then put available on our YouTube channel, on our socials. So if you want to, catch the slides again or see something that you might have missed that you didn't get to write a note down, it will be available, and we will share that with you all through Slack and our socials. Again, thank you all for your time. As always, if you want to contact us, I guess I would suggest Slack is always the best way to do so. But of course, you can email us at info@shesharp.co. That's also another way. And again, thank you very much to our speakers today for your valuable insights. Honestly, it's really great to sort of learn from you. You've got so much wealth of knowledge here. It's really great that you can share that all with us today. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I think it's hot everywhere finally, so enjoy the sun wherever you are. And we'll speak soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.